And we are not live. Hey, Cory, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Doing well. Where are you calling from today?
I live in San Diego, but today I am visiting in Spokane.
Nice. Those are both very, very cool places. Wait, where in San Diego do you live?
I live right in La Jolla, so I'm about a mile and a half from the beach. It's like nice and misty every morning, and a couple days a week, me and my fiance grab the boogie boards after work and throw them in the car and head down to the beach.
Cory, I had no idea. I was in La Jolla like 3 weeks ago. I had no idea you were there. I would have hit you up.
Well, next time.
I lived in PB for a while during the pandemic, and I think it's like genuinely the happiest I've ever been. Because that
PB
is
a pretty chill place. If you're into the surf culture, if you're into beach culture, PB is pretty fun.
There's also a Buffalo Bills bar in PB.
There is a Buffalo Bills bar in PB. There's also a Huskers bar in PB, by the way, which is crazy.
San Diego's a big city. There's a lot of fan pubs and bars all over the city.
Yeah, it's a
pretty great place.
Yeah.
What's sick? Yeah, give us a Sean, you want to give us a rundown? I know you know.
Yeah, I mean, so this is not sponsored by the Department of Tourism for San Diego. So let's talk about marketing stuff.
I'm Ibi Syed.
I'm Sean Collins.
And this is Numbers and Narratives.
So Cory, I was actually trying to remember, where did we first link up talking about recommendation engines?
I think I saw you post about it on LinkedIn, and then I messaged you. This was probably towards the beginning of my tenure at Discogs.
That's right. You were at Discogs.
Yeah. And so we were, obviously every music company has to build a recommendation engine. And Discogs is, if people don't know, Discogs is the world's largest music marketplace. They sell vinyl records, CDs, any hard copy of music, and all kinds of weird niche stuff, right? Like you can find old 8-tracks and hand-to-hand cassettes and reel-to-reel and all that kind of weird stuff. So we were building recommendation engines for people who are like music nerds, like enthusiasts, right? So it wasn't like building algorithms and working with data engineers as much as like a lot of hand curation. Like if you like this, you're probably going to like that. If you collect this, you're probably going to want to collect that. And there were a lot of really unexpected suggestions because people who collect vinyl are pretty different from people who just generally enjoy music.
Wait, I'm so curious now. Like what? Because I'm both slightly a music nerd, but also a machine learning nerd. Can you explain kind of what the bigger differences are there?
Yeah. So with vinyl, there's a value to the collection, right? Discogs would show you like the median value of all the records in your collection. And if you've got really rare records, they can be quite valuable, right? Like up to a few $1,000, right? And so people who are really into vinyl and really into collecting want to own the rarest vinyl, not necessarily the best music. Those are slightly different things, right? So
it's like more of an asset class,
like
it's
a collector.
like an asset. Like you're like basically you're trying to like recommend them. Like it's almost like akin to like baseball cards. Like it's not like hey, because you like Mickey Mantle, you're also gonna want to. I don't know anything about baseball, but like someone else who was like on Mickey Mantle's team, it's like, oh, you like these like cards that are from this time period and like worth this amount of money. Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah. And we actually referred to the Discogs audience as collectors. Like we didn't call them customers or clients or visitors or whatever. We just called them collectors. So people who were really into collecting, they would probably have like an original copy of Michael Jackson's Thriller and a copy of an early album by Jay-Z or Yeezy or Kanye. And then they might also have like a one-off promo copy of a Rolling Stones record. Right. Their tastes are all over the map if you look at it from a music taste lens, but the correct lens to look at it through is collection.
That's so fascinating. And so then when you were thinking about putting together this recommendation, it was less about trying to discover someone's taste in terms of what they enjoy and more about how many they're going to buy, what their sort of budget looks like, what sort of like markup they would want to see, those sorts of things? Or
so it was
what were
actually
sort of the
both.
key considerations?
It was both. We had a couple different personas within our collectors, right? And there's the collector persona, but then there's also people who are just music enthusiasts. And you'd have people who would just buy like every jazz record they could get their hands on because they're really into jazz. And so we would make recommendations like, oh, this user bought, a few jazz records. So we would recommend additional jazz records to them. Right. And without getting too far into like the proprietary way Discogs does it, we would create like curated collections for people. And when there were certain signals that showed us that they might be interested in those collections, we would point them to those collections.
Honestly, like algorithmically, I feel like what you, don't tell us how Discogs did this specifically, but like you almost have to treat them as like two different problems, right? Where it's like, hey, like this is like what you value as a collector. Like we're going to look at like your collection and recommend collections, and then we'll also look at your music and recommend you music. And then what you can do is you can like prioritize which of those two modals that like somebody would see within a product based on like what they end up like routing more towards. Like if you're going to give them both in like an equivalent test, but they end up clicking on the music stuff more, that's like, okay, cool. This like person is like driven by music rather than driven by, that's super interesting.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And it was really
Very,
fun.
very cool.
There's so many little like niches you can get into, right? Because like in the 90s when hip hop was surging and going mainstream, hip hop albums were done by recording to cassette, and then people would sell them hand to hand out of their trunk, right? Before hip hop became like popular radio music, and even after, the ways that you would get like an early, Mobb Deep album or any of the big rappers was by getting it on the street. And so we have like a massive cassette collection on Discogs. And people would go on there every day to try to find like the pieces they were missing from their cassette collection.
That's wild. And so I get that there's, 2, maybe even 3 personas. Like there's probably a persona of like, I'm a collector, but also just love music. And so you're blending the recommendations. What's like the new visitor, new collector to Discogs? How do you determine which persona they're going to fit into? And was there kind of a more of a like consistent, like, hey, we just need to get the first record in their hands and then watch their browsing patterns? Or kind of how did you think about that? Like, new user cold start?
Yeah. New user cold starts are hard because people give you signal, and, for any website, like 90% of people who visit the site are just there to browse, right? They're not really there to buy. They're researching. They got there on accident, whatever. So you have to get some kind of signal. So we would look at browsing behavior, would look at what was in their collection. And then eventually, once you have enough signal, you can start making some recommendations. But we did have like some generic, welcome to Discogs. This is what it means to be a collector. So if you're just starting your collecting journey, if you think you might want to collect vinyl, like check out these collections. These are our like core collections that are considered vinyl classics.
That makes sense.
This is cool, yeah, because I'm on the site right now. And literally the two sort of like starting modals are this week's top selling vinyl records and CDs, i.e. like these are the ones that like people keep buying the most, and like the pricing is like incredibly like varied, but like mostly on the lower end, right? It's like anywhere from like $2 to like $50. And then there's another one where it's like this week's most valuable vinyl records and CDs, which are collection based. Like I've got like Taylor Swift's like original album for like $840. This is cool. Like Led Zeppelin's like original one for how much is this one? Oh, my like laptop's being funky. 12.
Yeah, there's some cool stuff in there. Like,
yeah.
So my mother-in-law, earlier in life, her husband was a talent agent. So he worked with bands, right? And this is like the 70s and 80s. And so in her vinyl collection, she's got a bunch of super rare vinyl. This is like promo copies of legendary albums, where there's like one of 3, or like 10 of them that would go out to record stations to be played over the air. And so I helped her inventory and catalog her collection. And some of those things would be, a couple $1,000s. Like the high price that they sold for was a couple $1,000s.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
What dictates like the value of these things? Like I don't know, do we want to
It's
go?
just what people are
go
willing to pay, right? Like
Okay.
if you know that you've got that one, Rolling Stones promo record that is worth a couple, that there's only 3 copies in existence, you're willing to pay whatever it is, whatever the cost is.
Yeah, it's like super interesting, right? Because like I'm just gonna go down this now because like I've got this like the one that shows up as like the highest value one of this week is like Taylor Swift, and it says it was released in 2018, which doesn't, like, I don't really understand how that works, but like the statistics are crazy. Like there's like so many people that want it. Like you can see the ratings, you can see sort of like but the thing that I would assume where it's like, hey, like what's the quality of I assume that the quality of the vinyl matters quite a lot too.
I mean, there's not a lot of like, there is a little bit of variation in the actual physical quality of the vinyl based on the pressing. Like some pressings are better than others, but the thing that usually dictates price is how rare it is, how popular the artist is. And sometimes stuff just catches fire and it gets really popular. And even within a record, like you might have 5 or 10 or 20 variations of a record. Taylor Swift, when she released Midnights, did 4 different covers on the album. So in order to get every copy of Midnights, you had to get 4 copies. Right. And lots of artists do stuff like that. They'll do color variations. There's even weird things like there was I can't remember which one it was, but there was like a vinyl that had like blood embedded in the run out. Like I don't know if it was real blood or not, but that was like how it was marketed, right?
What? Wait, who did this?
I don't remember who it was.
I was like, is this a Taylor Swift out?
No.
That's crazy.
There's just all kinds of like once you go down this rabbit hole, it is essentially infinite. And even getting outside of vinyl, like there's things like serial box top records, which were literal pieces of cardboard that had music embedded in them, recorded onto them on the wax. And you would cut that out of the serial box and you could play that like a little 45.
So this is just ridiculous, but I Googled the vinyl record with blood in it, and there's 13. I got a listicle of 13 singer-songwriters who have blood in their album. To include Youngblood actually drew his own blood and put it and pressed it into the vinyl.
I would have assumed that, right? Like that's actually my assumption. It's like, whose blood is this? Like if it's not their blood, then whose blood is it?
a dear fan.
Crazy.
I realized I screwed up. So this is the longest introduction of all time. Cory, who the heck are you? What do you do? Why are we hanging out today?
So I would define myself as a technology nerd and a marketing enthusiast. Currently, I'm the director of marketing for Andrews Cooper, a B2B engineering services firm. But over the course of my career, I have worked in music, fine art. I have done B2B and B2C marketing. I've done tech. I've done services. I've just kind of been all over the place. I have a theater degree. So I just kind of follow whatever interests me and let my brain that is obsessed with learning new things kind of dictate where I go next in my career.
I love every bit of that. I also have bounced back and forth B2B, B2C. And so a question I get routinely is, do you think that makes you better or worse at marketing? And how would you describe the differences between what makes someone successful at B2B versus B2C?
Yeah, great question. The way I tend to think of it is I am have you guys heard the term T-shaped marketer or like a generalist, right? I am a T-shaped marketer. I have not spent more than a couple of years as an individual contributor ever, I think, total. So I've done a lot of different things. So I have a little bit of understanding of pretty much every part of marketing, other than like design, right? And so because I've done so many different things, I know how all these things are supposed to work together. I'm good at picking things up quickly, and I can help my team by giving them guidance on how to get started in certain areas.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Interesting.
The downside is I'm not the guy you're going to go to when you've got this one weird, deep technical issue with Google Ads where the campaign won't stop running this weird AI ad. How do I make it stop? I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense. And I think, and this is something Ibby and I talk about quite a bit, but I think that breadth is something that's going to be more valuable in an AI heavy world, where the deep, like, okay, if I have one very specific problem with Google Ads, for your example, that's a Claude or ChatGPT question, or maybe I'm spending enough and ask Google rep myself or whatever. Whereas the figuring out how all of these channels, all of these tactics intermingle and combine to make something bigger than the parts of the whole. That feels like the real high leverage opportunity now.
That does seem to be the direction that it's going. The people that I know who are doing well with AI are for the most part, those generalists. They're people that have a broad range of experience in education and who are willing to experiment and try things quickly. Where I think a lot of people who are highly specialized, they feel so uncertain once they're outside of their specialty that it actually gets in their way because they're afraid of making mistakes. Because they don't make mistakes in their core specialty, but then they don't know, they feel out of their element outside of that.
I have a take that this is like true for a lot of people that end up designing. Like one of the things that you see with very, very good products is when the person that's like building them has a hybrid skill set where like you're very, very good at technology and this other thing, right? It's like all about like the alpha is, I think, in like bridging the gaps. And I think that that's like very true with AI too, right? You have to have like the tinkerer mindset where you're like, yeah, like I'm super open to testing out a new tool or a new product, but I also know a lot about this one thing. And so I can apply this new tool or service or technology to this one thing, right? Like I know about Nano Banana, but I also like know that beautiful, fun, quirky ads are really interesting. So let me try to like develop a fun new quirky ad using this like tool. And suddenly it's like, oh, cool. Let me just like Control C, Control V this like 10,000 times. And I have an entire, like the thing that you've done is like, you've created like an ad set. I don't know.
When you mentioned something too, Cory, where you I can't remember the exact line you used, but you talked about basically your insatiable need to keep learning and keep trying things, and you follow your curiosity, right? Like you said, like, hey, I was a theater person who has this weird background. I've worked everywhere. And so I go wherever I'm curious and interested by. And I think that's the other, I think, defining trait in this age, or another. I have one more after this. But like genuinely, I think people who are curious and enjoy learning and experimentation, I think will thrive more in a world where it's a lot more like, hey, we don't really know exactly, like we're building at the frontier here. So there's going to be mistakes. You're going to mess stuff up.
Yeah. Like if I'm being a little too candid,
please be.
A year ago, I was not even using like ChatGPT. Right. But then over the holiday break, last year, I read a couple of essays about AI and about, like how fast it was learning and how fast it was growing. And I realized, oh, like this is going to be a huge thing soon. So I spent like 2-3 weeks over the holiday and into the new year familiarizing myself with like ChatGPT and agentic tool building and all that kind of stuff. And it was like an unlock, because when you come from marketing ops, you're used to building workflows, you're used to building automations, you're used to talking to engineers. And I realized, oh, this is just the next obvious step from where marketing ops has been. And instead of trying to be able to orchestrate every little thing, we now just kind of step back and say, like, okay, tell the tool to do this, and then it does it. And we're not quite there yet, but that's where it's going, right? And so if you, like, in a year, I was able to like tremendously transform my own skill set, what I'm known for, and how I do things. And I think from here on out, it just gets like the pace of transformation is going to start to go faster than most people understand.
And so if someone was you a year ago, but today, right? So still barely using ChatGPT, sort of either apathetic or scared of AI, what's your message to them, and what do they need to be trying to, like, what's going on with them today's world?
Yeah, so I run Diana Iliano and I co-lead the San Diego chapter for marketingops.com. And what we've been telling people at our monthly meetups is just try stuff. Like what I did was I started saying, okay, I'm going to do everything through ChatGPT first. And I'm going to do it in my personal and my professional life. Right. And a lot of it was really stupid. Like a lot of it would generate like idiotic outcomes or things that weren't helpful. But what it forced me to do was learn, right? It forced me to learn how to do things. Like, is there a way to do this? Is there a way to do that? And I tried to build a couple of things. Like I tried to build a couple of products using AI. Most of them didn't work out, but I ended up building one or two that were pretty helpful. And you just experiment and try stuff. And you'll learn very quickly what is or isn't possible. What I see a lot of marketers doing is they try something once or twice and it doesn't work the way they want it to, and they get frustrated and go back to their old way of doing things. And so they're losing like learning opportunity.
That's fascinating. I mean, Ibby and I were literally talking like right before he left the room to go, to a separate place so our audio doesn't commingle here. We're literally talking about failure and people having a discomfort with the idea of like not getting something right. And I think that there's something, I feel like it's especially prevalent in marketers. I don't know why. But I think in my head, as we were talking through, we didn't come up with any grand conclusions, but like, okay, if you're a salesperson, you get massively incentivized to take big swings because home
98% of your
out.
interactions are no's. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah.
If you're an engineer or a product person, you have bugs are expected to some degree. You're going to test it live in a bunch or test it in staging and in all these environments before you deploy. For so many marketers, there's nothing between here's a PowerPoint presentation to my boss about this concept, and then we're putting thousands to millions of dollars behind this. And so it feels like marketers have this weird sort of reverse incentive to not screw up. And so that leads to less ambitious swings.
That's interesting. I think I get where you're coming from. And I think the incentive is the bike shed problem. You know, the bike shed problem. It's like this is a common metaphor. If you make a bike shed, if you paint a bike shed, and your neighbor comes over, they're going to have opinions about how the shed's built and how it's painted, right? Because it's just a shed. It's easy, right? Marketing is like the epitome of the bike shed career, right? Where everything the marketers do, people feel like they are qualified to have an opinion, right? Like it could be like the color choice, the design choice, the words you use, the way you choose to say things, the way that you put technology together, like the experiences you create for people. Everybody's like, I hate pop-ups, but yet we all know, like everybody who works in marketing knows that pop-ups are super effective because you only need, 1 or 2% of people who see them to do something for them to be, worth of the incentive, right? Everybody has opinions about marketing, and marketing is also really hard. So you get this weird situation where everybody thinks they're qualified, but you have to know how to like manage up and manage sideways to get everybody to come to the right conclusion. Or you spend all of your time in market research trying to justify your decisions. And both of those kind of suck.
Yeah.
But I think there are other, like, I think that a lot of people actually fear failure, and I'm not sure that it's just marketers. I think about, so my fiance is a therapist who turned to coaching, right? And a lot of the stories that she tells me about her clients are people who know they want to do something and just don't do it, right? Because they're afraid of the outcomes. They're afraid of the consequences, whatever. You want to break up with somebody, you want to move across the country, you want to change jobs, change careers, whatever. People are afraid that it's not going to work out. That's a very human thing.
Yeah, that's fair.
I like that a lot. And definitely not. I feel like marketers are probably one of the lesser, I don't want to say fraidy cat, but it's like one of the, there's definitely a lot of other things I can think of where like there's folks that are a lot more willing to take risks. A lot less willing to take risks. Sorry. Lawyers come to mind for me.
For sure. Yeah. Like
lawyers,
like the entire legal profession is about mitigating risk. Right?
Yeah, exactly. I think like the more that I think the more that your incentive structure is like incentive structure sort of like has downside, the less risk you take.
Yeah. Marketing is a weird profession where when you say I work in marketing or I'm a marketer, like that could be product marketing. It could be ops. It could be ad buys. It could be creative. Maybe you're a videographer. Maybe you're a designer. Like it is all over the map, right? And you get these job descriptions for marketing specialists or marketing coordinators where they have to know how to do all of those things.
With 20 years of experience in each of them. And
exactly. Yeah. Like, and they're just impossible. Right. And so people hire marketers thinking, okay, I'm going to do marketing for my company. So I'm just going to get somebody who can do all those things, but I'm going to pay them like, $40,000, $50,000 a year because that's all I want to pay a junior marketer. And of course you're going to get like subpar results doing that because you can't like, it's just not possible. You're trying to pit 10 pounds of stuff into a 5-pound bag. Like we marketing has become so broad that it is almost meaningless when you tell somebody that you work in marketing. Like, what the heck does that mean? Yeah. And it's usually whatever somebody dislikes most about marketing. It's like, I work in marketing. Oh, are you responsible for all those ads? It's like, no, man. Like I'm a designer. Like, whatever the thing is, like the marketing is such a weird world to exist in.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is incredible. I think since we're coming up on time, Cory, if our users want to find you and find more of your wisdom, where can they hear / read your work?
I'm going to have a website, coryhuff.com, which you can put in the links. And then probably if you wanted to find me online and like hang out and chat, like LinkedIn.
Nice.
Right.
And then do you have anything to pub? Anything that you wanna pub for? We'll put in the show notes.
Hey, if you are a enterprise company that's trying to build like hard engineering stuff, like hard tech or medical devices, anything like that, and you need some engineering help, hit me up.
If I want to build an Iron Man suit, if I want to build an Iron Man suit, can you guys help me with that? That's my next venture after this one. Sick. All right.
No, so Andrews Cooper has an 18,000 square foot prototyping warehouse in Corvallis, Oregon. And
Sick.
we build incredible stuff. A lot of it I can't talk about, but like recently we built a device that it's a machine that puts like eyelashes on people, a machine that'll do it in like 30 seconds. And we did that. And we also built a defibrillator that'll shock somebody's heart back to a healthy rhythm that's powered on a cell phone battery.
Whoa.
Excuse me?
It is cool as heck. Like, we are all over the map. We're doing all kinds of amazing things. I'm super excited because we're going through the process of like refining our brand so that people can understand more about what we do. And it's really fun to walk through the workshop and take our designers and our agency through all this stuff because it's just kind of mind blowing to show people like the breadth of what we do and like the technical expertise that we have. So yeah, if you're an engineering firm or if you need some engineering help, come hit us up because it's we can do all kinds of things that you probably didn't think were possible.
I'm a little annoyed we didn't bring this up in the first half hour because now I just want to keep going because one of my favorite episodes we've ever done was talking to Stefan, who is a product designer for like, you know, physical products. And that's a world I've never worked in. And so I had nothing of value to say, just stupid questions. And I was just floored the whole time. And I feel like that just happened here where I was like, oh, I didn't realize that's what Andrews Cooper did. I could ask you a bazillion questions about this.
Second episode.
Second episode for sure, Cory. You're stuck with us now.
Incredible.
All right, man. This was so much fun. We'll have you back so that I can ask a bunch of dumb questions and hear more about this pocket-sized defib. Cory, thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks so much for having me.